Welcome, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this live video. What I'm really looking forward to today is sharing exactly what you need to be able to conquer overwhelm. And who experiences overwhelm? When you've been navigating a really challenging period of time, you feel stretched thin, you've got things pulling in all directions, and suddenly you feel that sense of overwhelm or depletion. So what I'd really love to share in this group today are two key strategies or two key concepts really around overwhelm. And you might decide from those two which you need to implement to be able to conquer overwhelm. So a story I love to share about overwhelm, if you can imagine, and this is true, when I was at university, I didn't have a lot of money, and we used to, as university students, go to on a Tuesday night an all-you-can-eat buffet that was, I think, about 10 Australian dollars, and would have a big meal there together. And the aim for the buffet was to fill your plate to the brim because it was always great food, and it was our $10 big meal for the day. So we'd head to the buffet and you'd grab your plate and you'd think, oh, I don't want to add bread to it. That's some wasting space. I'm going to add salad. I'm going to add my protein. I'm going to add all the bits and pieces. And you'd pile the plate super high and you'd walk over to the table holding the plate, hoping that the little piece of pasta wouldn't drop off the side, hoping that the tomato wouldn't drop off the side, hoping you could hang it all and hold it all together for yourself but by the time you made it to your table to be able to eat your meal. And this is what I call overwhelm. It's having a plate that's way too full, that you're feeling like you're just holding it together. You know that something's going to drop off at any minute. You're not sure what's going to drop off, but something's going to drop off. And you're kind of balanced there trying to make it through. So if you can imagine that as an all-you-can-eat buffet and you've got your plate and it's overfull, and usually that is the source of overwhelm, is that we feel that we've just got too much on and that our time, our energy is stretched thin. And as leaders, that's challenging because you can operate from that place for a short period of time, but not too long before something gives, right? And so there's two strategies that are needed to be able to conquer overwhelm. The first strategy is if you can imagine going to that buffet and you've got a plate the size of a saucer, you can't fit a lot on there. So the first strategy is to get a bigger plate, to simply get a bigger plate. The second strategy is to put less on your plate. So how do we do this? Get a bigger plate essentially means that as women, there are certain things that make our plate shrink. If we're tired, if we're hungry, if we haven't been sleeping well, we haven't been looking after our own body health, if we haven't been managing stress, if we haven't been able to calm our emotional roller coaster, I call this fuel in the tank with body health, mind health, and heart health strategies. Now, out of all of us, and I teach this on the Rise Up program, but out of all of those three pillars, body health, mind health, and heart health, we all need help in maybe one area more than another. So some of us, we're managing stress okay, but we're staying up late, we're not eating well, we're not exercising. Some of us are okay, we're looking after our body health, but our emotions are all over the place, or our stress levels and self-talk aren't operating well. But if any of these three key pillars are running low on fuel or depleted, it means our plate shrinks. So what we can normally cope with, the normal amount of load in a day, what we normally cope with, suddenly drops off the planet. And the simple things we feel overwhelmed because our plate has shrunk. So even though we think that we should be able to cope with the same amount of tasks, the same amount of things, the same amount of problems to solve, decisions to make, our plate has shrunk and we're not coping. So it might be that to help yourself manage and conquer overwhelm, that you need to focus on getting a bigger plate, which is prioritizing yourself, prioritizing your sleep, nutrition, exercise, learning stress management techniques, learning emotional regulation. I will be giving tips for this all the way through in this group, but for today, it's simply understanding that these are the things that will make our plate shrink. So overwhelm, you've either got a plate that's too small, which means the normal things can't fit on. And so you might need to focus on one of those three pillars in order to let your plate expand again so that you can hold what you need to be able to move forward into the day. But like I said, on the other side, your plate might be an okay size, but you've just lumped way too much on it. And so essentially what that means is learning to prioritize, which means what tasks are not important and what tasks are important. And part of it's really asking yourself the question, what's my next most important step? Because overwhelm is usually the sense of I've got too many things to try and deal with and I don't even know where to start. So the question you can ask yourself is, what's really important to me now? What's the most important one step I can take? And then just allow the rest to either pause or delegate off to someone else as best you can. But if you can prioritize specifically what needs to be on your plate and what doesn't need to be on your plate, it means when you're at the buffet, like I was at university, piling up the plate with all the random bits of food, like the bread and the pieces that I just didn't need, it's really figuring out, what do I actually need on my plate? What's important to me? I won't have the answer for that for you, but you can ask yourself the question. And if you can load it with just what's important, it means, okay, now I know what my next one step is going to be. So I hope this short video has helped you understand a little bit more about overwhelm. It's either too much on your plate and you need to prioritize what's my one next step, or your plate is just too small. You haven't focused enough on your body health, sleep, nutrition, exercise, your mind health, how to manage stress, how to regulate and understand your own self-talk, or your heart health, how to regulate emotions, how to connect to joy and be social again. These three pillars are really important to make sure that your plate is big enough to hold everything that you want it to. So type in the chat if you've enjoyed this. I'm really looking forward to sharing a live every single week with you, all to be able to help you become the inner leaders that you need to be. So building inner leadership and resilience through life setbacks, and then to moving forward to be able to lead your teams from a place of confidence and calm clarity. So thanks so much, everybody.